Hey, good morning. How we doing out there? Washington D.C. continues to be a whatever. It's something, ain't it? You know, just thinking this morning. You know, socialism is nothing but a cop out for not doing what's right. You realize that? You don't do what's right in your mind. You don't do what's right in your heart. You don't do what's right in your actions and your words. And then, and then you use the iron fist. Use the iron fist to get your way. That's basically what socialism is. Well, that's basically what hardcore Islam is too. Islam, we've had witnesses that's come from within Islam. They left Islam and they've told us Islam is nothing but a socialist type military or government under the guise of religion. And you know, you think about it, and well, basically, from what we've seen, Islam has basically the same ends as socialism does. You know, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt that not all Muslims are bad, because not everybody will sell themselves out to the point that they just totally disregard uh, morality or totally disregard true fairness. Not everybody is just literally downright stupid to the point that they don't realize there is a side of humanity that does care, and we don't want to see atrocities committed on people. I mean, it's natural to have compassion and to not want to see people hurt, not want to see injustice pushed on people. That's natural. Uh, we don't want to see it. Just like we don't particularly want to see pain and anguish and hunger and starvation pushed upon animals and all this stuff. You know, we just don't want to see it. That's natural. I mean, that's uh, what was talking about Muslims. Not all Muslims are hardcore, hateful, iron fist perverts. They're just not. They're people. They reach for something of peace. They're reaching for something of hope. Uh, but Islam has it sewn into the words. It's sewn into the words of Islam. You kill the infidel. You do this. You do that. Back in the Old Testament, when God had chosen the Jew, He had told them, said, you don't go to a place and assimilate yourself to them. They said when they come to you, you ask them to assimilate themselves to you, because God had particular reasons for that assimilation into what the Jews believed, because He knew that the elements of creation and life had been woven in to what He had given them. And if those elements, those issues or whatever, if they were broken, then it would bring a separation into what He was trying to get into them, that their lives would be full. He knew it would separate Him and them. There was people that God knew was bad for the Jew. And He said, not all of them were like that. There was just a few that were. There were races of people or whatever, sex of people. They were just literally bad because they would not They would not assimilate themselves with God because their thinking, their actions as humans upon the earth, man, they were atrocious. I mean, some of the cruelest stuff you ever took place took place took place under their leadership or their rule. God said if they want to be with you, he said they have to assimilate themselves to you. It wasn't because God was. It wasn't because he was just so hard and cruel that he would set these things out there just to satisfy himself, which him being God, he could. But it wasn't that. But he knew that what he was telling the Jew was important to life. It was important to honor. It was important to family. It was important to marriage. It was important to your children and bloodlines. He knew it was important for the Jew to be able to thrive and live in the world. He had to get the issues of life that were woven into creation. He had to get those issues woven into the Jew, into the mind and the heart of the Jew. Remember Jesus Christ, when he walked the earth, he said, I didn't come to do away with the law. He said, I come to fulfill the law. He meant I'm trying to show you what Moses couldn't show you or couldn't get across to you in the law. I'm trying to show you that. Moses and others had said, there's going to be one coming. And he's not going to tell you the hardness, the cruelty of the law, but he said he's going to stamp the law upon your mind and upon your heart, or upon your mind and your inward parts. That's where the Christian is today. We're trying to find the things of God within our lives that let life thrive in the world. Life have to thrive in the world. Listen, what God is teaching us, the Christian, are the things that sustain life. Without truth, without honor, without justice, life dies. It's that simple. Life dies. God said it in himself, in his word. He said he was going to cut time short lest there be no flesh saved. The teachings of Christianity sustain life. They sustain life on the earth. And those teachings are the very teachings that Jesus Christ will set up when his kingdom is set up in heaven. That's the very teachings that will be there. That's the reason heaven will be eternal, is because in heaven the rudiments or the elements of life will be sustained. They will be kept. They will be honored. The flesh won't be there to taint them. You won't have people running around wanting to have sex with one another. You won't have this and that and whatever going on. And life will be sustained. But what I'm talking about is there's things that people are trying to tell you that life cannot be sustained in. Socialism doesn't have to be vile, but it is vile because people that want to run it don't do right here. They don't do right here. And they don't do right here. It is vile because people don't do right. And that's what you have to realize. I've told you, a government is only as good as the people that run it. If the people are liars and cheats and homosexuals and whoremongers and whores and all this stuff, you got a bad day, man. You got a bad day if you got stuff like that in the rule of your country. You've had a bad day because those people are going to kick the pus out of you. to satisfy all that vile nature that is within them, they will do you wrong. They will screw you. They will treat you unfairly. They will treat you unjustly. You know, like our President Trump, he wasn't put in because he was perfect. He was put in because he was trying to bring back the elements of America. He was trying to bring back what our forefathers begun. That truth and honor and justice would actually reign. That the pervert would be prosecuted and the innocent, the helpless, the upright would be set at liberty. Why are the liberals and socialists attacking Donald Trump? That is the very reason they're attacking Donald Trump. Listen, there is no legitimate reason outside of that actually adds up. They are against truth. They are against honor. They are against actual fairness. They are against justice. They are against the very elements that our forefathers began. They can holler this and that, or they holler anything they want, but they are against the essence that keeps humanity alive. It's a fact. They are against the essence that keeps humanity alive. They are against, actually, mankind. If you look at it at the long range view, to where you can see the whole scope of things, you know, you can get an old rifle scope. Or not binoculars, they act the same way, but a rifle scope. You can get scopes that are real defined in their view, and they have a lot of telescopic power. You can pull things up close, or you can get some that's not quite as telescopic. They magnify to a point, but they're called a wide view or wide angle, basically like television and other stuff too. But you get this wide view, you can see more of what's going on. That's what I'm talking about in that statement. They are against man. They are against humanity, because they refuse to acknowledge the surroundings. They refuse to acknowledge that, and they use this real powerful scope. They're trying to detail what this, but they refuse to acknowledge, hey, this is not, man is not the total subject. He is God's prize, but he is not the total subject. You have to take man in his context in all creation. You have to understand more of what it takes. Like, you know, liberals and socialists, they paint a picture, you know, that the rules and guidelines of right and wrong are have been pushed upon us, forced upon us by religious people. Christianity, they've been forced upon us. They were the foundings of this nation. They wasn't forced upon anybody. You just rejected being honorable. You rejected being actual honorable. You know, and President Trump, he's basically just trying to get us back to that. He hasn't been perfect in his life. We didn't put him in there, but we put him in because he stood up for the elements that brought this nation to life. He stood against the elements that tried when our forefathers came from England, and they tried to force their friggin' English garbage down our throats. He's standing against that. But he's the enemy. They've called him Hitler, they've called him everything in the world. But you know, if you'd actually get back and compare Donald Trump and to the liberals and the socialists, you know what you would find? You would actually find, once you get back and look at the whole scope, don't look at this little pinpoint vision that you have, this tunnel paper towel roll scope, you have to look at the whole scope, the wide angle, and you get back and compare them. What you'd find out? You'd find that Donald Trump was actually the more liberating. I didn't say liberal, I said liberating. I don't mean liberal as in the liberals and socialists. I mean liberating, that his thinking actually gives the innocent, the honest, the upright, and the helpless, he gives them more liberty because they're treated more fairly, justly, honorably. He's actually the more liberating than these others. You know, these others say, well, they call us deplorable, or people like me, they call me deplorable. They say I need to be more tolerant. I open my mouth and they want to bust my nose. Is that tolerant? I just seen a video on Fox there just a minute ago. This conservative group comes onto a college or university grounds, and they're holding some kind of meeting around, and here's this woman comes up and starts slapping and everything else, going nuts with them. Is that tolerant? I mean, they come up there and just open their mouths and she goes nuts. Is that what you people call tolerant? It's happening all over the place. And Donald Trump, he signed that executive order. That girl, hey, listen, they recognize that girl. If someone can pinpoint who she is, they reckon they'll put her in jail. And they should. They should put her in jail. I mean, it was senseless that Donald Trump actually had to sign an executive order. There's already laws in the book that protect these conservative people. But what have we found out over the last few years? We found out that Barack Obama, his administration, colleges, IRS, the CIA, these groups were actually targeting conservative thinkers. They were actually targeting the people that our laws were meant to protect. That the founding, our Constitution, that the founding of this nation was set up that the decent, the honorable, the just, the truthful, the fair, the actual fair would be protected. That the atrocities of England and the garbage that brought their atrocities to life would be cut off. But now the ones that are trying to stand up for an actual justice that works, they're being persecuted. Colleges, your school system has sown socialism into the minds of people, took out God and sown in this lie, this fake truth, this rot. They've sown it into the minds of our children. That's what we're dealing with. Conservative lawmakers and stuff, and others of conservative things say we should have never turned the educational system over to liberals. They let liberals set the guidelines for teaching. People that have a lesser, lower moral stance in life were doing the teaching. That's what it means. That's what it means. People that should have never actually been, should never be in public service, in a role of power, or in a role that sets laws and guidelines and organizes. People of lower moral stance should never be in control of that. You have to set higher, stronger guidelines in your mind and in your heart. If you don't, you make light of the things, the atrocities against men. Look what's taking place in Congress. They have guidelines or bylines or whatever, guide rules or floor rules or whatever, that you cannot reach across the aisle, or you cannot slander your colleague across the aisle. You have to keep your cool, you do essence and all this. What were they doing? That means they can't call the liar the liar. They can't call the cheat the cheat. They can't call the pervert the pervert. They can't call them this, that, or whatever. That means people like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Jeff Sessions and some others, Jim Jordan and David Nunes, and that means they can't look across the aisle and know that person over there ain't nothing but a friggin' pervert trying to get garbage through. They can't call them what they are. They can't call them what they are. The boundaries of right and wrong. Let me try to do this. The boundaries of right and wrong at the organizing of this country, there was a line that said, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, you don't do those things. But through liberal thinking, that line begins to get broader and broader. The little lies begin to get more space. The little cheating begins to get more space. The boundary of right and wrong begins to broaden. The pervert is given more room to work their atrocity against others. The line gets broader and broader. That's what's going on. Congress has given itself right to cheat. You look up there right now, you got perverts that are, listen, the dossier wasn't nothing but a freaking lie. They knew it before they took it to the FISA court, it was a lie. But they took it. They took words of deception to the FISA judges. They knew it was a lie. They knew it. They knew it was a lie. And they took it and they lied to get the FISA judge to approve it. It's truth. It's out now. They know it. But why is it right now they're getting by with this garbage going against Trump right now? Because the boundaries, the line that separated right and wrong have gotten so broad. It's no longer a black line. It's a black area here, but the broader it gets, the grayer it gets, the whiter. Okay, WHITER. The gray begins to blend and blur. And now it's just about gone. And that's what's going on in Congress. Naylor, Pelosi, Schumer, the list goes on and on and on. These Muslim women up there, Casio. It's unreal. It's unreal, the garbage that's coming right out in the open. These people would have been horsewhipped 75 years ago to even bring this stuff up in people's face. Because people would have known. They would have known. Man, this is madness. You got to get. We can't have this. This is sheer madness. These people got to go. But why is it today? This garbage is right up in their face. The right and wrong is little by little being erased. Perverts now have the right to slander you. They now have the right to lie to you and cheat you. It's going on in the courts. I just went through a case here just a few years ago, a whistleblower case. Had it actually went to court and my lawyer done his job and the judge actually not give these people room to run for 3 years, I'd have smoked their butts. But the pervert has room to run. You can't video people without telling them you're being videoed. You can't record them on a phone without you telling them they're being recorded. The conservative, the honest, the truthful, they don't mind you recording. But the liar, the cheat, the liberal, don't you record my lies. You ain't gonna pin me down and prove me a lie. The right and wrong is being erased. There's a thing going on television right now. They're advertising news. Let's see, what is it they call it? It's some kind of thing going on that you accept. You get news from all over. You're not locked down to this or that. Whatever. That's what these liberals want. That's what they want. Yes, the conservative wants true conservative thinking. They want you to know that truth is actually the best. They want you to know that honesty is the best. They want you to know that these things are important to everything about your life. They want you to know that. Why do you think back years ago they had people go to contracts? Well, this is a contract says that you're going to do this and the other party's going to do this, and everybody has to keep up their end. That's a contract. That keeps it settled. That a court, you go to court, they find out, the court reads the contract or whatever, they find, well, this is what the contract says, you didn't hold up your end. Why not? You broke the contract. You're the one at fault. So they write up a contract. Because the line, people have gotten to the point in here and in here, the line is wider. It's no longer black and white. It's gray and grayer and grayer and lighter. That's the reason this stuff's going on, people. People try to say that it's political, this, and not. It's not, people. It's not. People are rejecting truth in their minds and in their hearts. They're rejecting honor in their minds and in their hearts. They're rejecting morals in their minds and in their hearts. These people are rejecting God. They're rejecting the things that actually keep life alive. They're rejecting the essence that protects the honor of their daughters and their sons. We're seeing more and more reason and excuse for shacking up. It's nothing anymore. It's nothing anymore. I've seen it firsthand. I didn't like it. But it was at the point it just felt like something had to be done. But we can't go on the way we're going. Our president is trying to get us back to a stance of honor. He's mouthy though, ain't he? I love our president, I really do. Old Don, he's they can't stand his Twitter, man. I'll tell you what, he just comes out and puts this stuff out. I'm glad he does. I really am. You know, I don't read all these Twitter posts, but I really am. I'm glad he's there because that's him being able to talk to the people and not have to go through the channels that Congress wants to force upon him. Oh, you got to be presidential. You got this avenue you got to stay in. And but see, if they can get him in that avenue, they can control him. They can control his words. They control his actions. Donald Trump is not run of the mill like we've been seeing. He is not run of the mill. But I don't know, maybe that's just what if I was going to title this as, you know, is don't settle for what everybody is telling you. The liberal medias and the liberals and socialists, all that friggin' crowd, basically the Democrats and some of the Republicans, They want you to believe that they are the mainstream. That, hey, this is the avenue of thought. This is what we're doing. This is this. This is this. See, they've been pushing that through the schools for years. This is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. They want you to believe that they are the majority. Look at 2015, 2016, these campaign rallies. Trump was packing houses, man, tens of thousands. Clinton and whoever else, and these other candidates, some of them just getting a few hundred. They just get a few hundred, and yet they were the mainstream, man. We're the new avenue of thought. And it's happening like it right now. Trump just went to like 2 or 3 rallies here in the last, couple of weeks? 2 or 3 weeks? 2 or 3 rallies he done. Done one in, what is it? Green Bay? Was it Green Bay? Somewhere, not Minnesota, Wisconsin or somewhere through there. Packed the house, man. Done one in Florida here in the last few days. Packed the house. And it's that way. Listen, people. The truth is, America wants godly, moral thinking. Godly, moral thinking is the only thing that will actually feed you or give you a real fairness. Fairness without justice is a lie. Fairness supported by justice is actually F-A-I-R, fair. Without justice, there is no fair. The pervert will run over the boundaries. The pervert will always push for the line to be broader. That's what they do. That's what they do. And I was talking about this media, this news thing coming up, Don't get locked into where you was. You can hear from different ones, what it is, they're introducing all these broad thinking things. It's no longer an honest, truthful, just thought. Introduce you to all this other stuff. Well, now that I brought that in, let me throw this in. The Bible says, straight and narrow is the path. Why? Because the straight and narrow is the path of truth. The straight and narrow is the path of honor. The straight and narrow is the path of actual fair. The straight and narrow is the path of justice. They want you to broaden the line that separates the right and the wrong, the truth and the lie. They want you to broaden the line. The devil's not stupid, people. He's not stupid. He's just set himself in a predicament that he either wins or loses, and that's where your liberals and socialist Democrats and a few Republicans have set themselves. They either win or they're crushed. They either take it all, or if justice catches up with them, they've had to lick. That's the reason this is going. That's the reason this Naylor and House and all this friggin' garbage is going on after the Mueller report and Barr and all that. That's the reason these Democrats are doing what they're doing, people. That's the reason it's going on. They're getting ready to burn to the ground. The Democratic Party is burning to the ground. Look at them. The Democratic Party is nothing but a boiling sewer right now. Every damnable, smelly, stinky, raunchy, rotted, infested thing you can think of is going on. Watch them. They're up there chewing on one another. It's just going crazy. It's going crazy. As a man told me a couple days ago, he told me he was watching Hannity. Hannity had a couple guests on there. They told Hannity 2 weeks. We're going to start handing down indictments in 2 weeks. That would be awesome. But see, I've heard that for, I don't know, 4 months. I would love to see them start handing out indictments. I really would. This garbage has got to be cut off. Justice has got to be served. If you want your children to have a voice, justice has got to be served today. If you want your children to have a choice, justice has got to be served today. Not I think this, I think that. Justice has got to be served today. If you want your children to have a life of their own, justice has got to be served today. These perverts are not going to give you a choice. That's what you have to realize. It's like, the Democratic Party plays unions. Union has done a lot for people in America and around the world, and it's done a lot, but the union has also took hold of a lot of garbage, man. I used to be part of a union. I've had union leaders try to get me to lie and everything else, okay? And as I said in front of an arbitrator, I said if I have to lie to get it, I'll take the axe. Not that John is perfect, but people without truth and honor call the shots. Nothing else has a chance. Union has done a lot of things for people to help in ways. I mean, it's pushed for health care and higher wages and different things. But right now, the Democratic Party is acting just like a union that wants to control it all. You've had people that were non-union had to pay union dues just to work. The union was controlling it all. And they didn't know, they wasn't part of that union. They didn't have all the benefits the union had, but yet they had to pay the dues. Is that right? Is that right? You got people out there that are pro-life. Their hard-earned tax dollars are having to pay for the abortions. Stuff that they think they're totally contrary to their moral thinking. Totally contrary to godly thinking, but yet their dollars are having to pay for abortions. Things that they don't even do. Things that they have no part in, but yet they're having to pay for it. Why? Why? Let me tell you. Because they do what is wrong here, and they do what is wrong here, they do what is wrong here, and expect everybody else to give in and let them have their way. They want everybody else to pay for what they copped out on before. Socialism is alive, people. Liberal thinking is the path into socialism. Socialism is the path into control. Control is the path into atrocities. It's sad. It's really sad. By all rights, people, the Democratic Party should not get one vote. Should not even get one vote in 2020. Not one single vote. But I look at it and I realize there's millions out there they're going to vote for. Even though it's a lie. Even though it's an atrocity against their very life and the lives of their family and bloodlines. They'll vote for them. It's really sad. It's pitifully sad. I think about this stuff almost every day. I think about my family and the things they're going to have to face if this is not stopped. But I am glad. I am glad that the huge majority of America actually believe and godly, moral laws that serve justice, and justice serve people. The huge, it's actually not even close. The immoral and the moral, the comparisons are not even close in numbers. The majority of Americans, listen, pay attention, the majority of Americans want godly, moral laws. But what are your Democrats doing? What are the liberals and socialists doing? They're bringing illegals in. Thousands upon thousands of these illegals are coming across the border. Why? They're losing the vote. They are losing the vote. The Democrats are losing the vote. They're bringing in thousands to compensate. The House has already voted. The House has already had a vote, said the illegals can vote. You realize what's going on? They're stealing your friggin' rights to a legal, fair, just vote. People, they're peeing on you, and you watching them. And you watching them. They're peeing on you, and you watching them. God. It's pitiful. It's pitiful. And the ones that are supporting them, they know what's going on. They know it's not fair. They know it's cheating, but they support them. Hollywood supports it. The majority. We're a lot of Hollywood. I won't say the majority because I don't know that. But there's a lot of mouthy ones up there that are supporting them. Cher and I don't know, Rosie O'Donnell and you know, a bunch of them. They know it's not fair. People, you need to vote. Go out 2020. If they don't cause arms, get rid of as much socialists first. I wouldn't mind that. I really wouldn't. But go out and vote. Go out and vote. Vote for your family. Vote for your bloodline. And say, we're not going to put up with lies. And we're not going to put up with cheating. We're not going to put up with liberal gray lines. Liberal broad gray lines. We're not going to put up with socialist hard fist things. If we're going to have law, we're going to have law that is just and honorable. Get out and vote. There's perverts out there that want to rob you blind, man. They're not doing it with guns and knives. They're opening the door for guns and knives, but they're not doing it with guns and knives. Hey. This is how they're doing it. This is how they're doing it. They're doing it with a pen and a pencil. They're doing it with a yay and an A in Congress. They're doing it right out in the open and no longer hide it. There's perverts out there who want to rob you blind. They're perverts, and you got perverts supporting it. You go into Isaiah, book of Isaiah, Old Testament Bible. Look here. Let me read it to you. I don't want to just tell you. Just let me read it to you. Let me read it to you. Let me find it. It's exactly what I'm talking about right here. Exactly what I'm talking about. But the liberal deviseth liberal things. The liberal deviseth liberal things. The liberal deviseth exclusive things. The liberal deviseth ways that are not moral or just. Ways that will let them manipulate. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Those perverts in D.C., they're cheating you. And the people that are voting for them are giving them the right to cheat you. The people that are voting for them are cheating you. That's what you have to realize. That's what you need to realize. That's what I've always talked about. That's what Twisted World News is talked about. I've been dealing with this stuff for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, maybe longer. That's what I've always talked about. There's people out there that are cheats. They're liars. They're excuse makers. Now they're in power in Washington, D.C. And you got people going to the polls that are empowering them, encouraging them, because the pervert up there makes excuse for the pervert down here. The pervert down here support them because of the excuse that they're given. That's what I've been talking about, people. That's what I've been talking about. God, the Bible says, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally. But you have to go to God. You have to come in on God's, you have to come in on God's thinking, God's expectations. You have to come in, bring yourself in agreement to God. Don't ask God to agree with you. You have to agree with him. If any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God that upbraideth not, but giveth to all men liberally. Don't ask God to agree with you. He can't do that. You must agree with him. Have a good day. I hope the Lord bless you with wisdom and honor.